Hey guys, Chris Clothier here with another episode of our podcast. This is The Grind, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. It is a Friday. I hope you're having a fantastic day and getting ready for a great weekend. I know that I am. This will be my first, no, I'm not saying, this will be my second weekend as a 50-year-old. I don't know. I guess the first weekend was pretty cool. We'll see what the second weekend brings as a 50-year-old. Y'all, last weekend had surprise parties, and I was super surprised. For those of you that, it's hard to get me. It's hard to surprise me, but I had zero clue of what was happening last weekend. But anyway, it was a fun weekend. Look, and I came in this week, Isabel and I were talking, and once again, I'm telling you, she's getting into her groove because she laid out a list of podcasts for me that we're going to start recording over the next, through the summer that I love. I mean, the list is really, really good. They're topics that I like. I think that I'm going to go ahead and tell you now that I'm going to kind of be talking most likely next week, or at least in the next couple of weeks, about the current environment. I may let a little bit more time pass and kind of see exactly what's happening to give my thoughts on the real estate market, talking about interest rates, talking about home pricing, talking about what's happening with the stock market and how it, what it means for the future of the housing market. So be on the lookout for that. That's coming. I know it's timely. I know that everybody wants to hear about it. I am doing a discussion about that in our Facebook group. So if you're not already in the REI Nation, Profiting from Passive Real Estate Facebook group, guys, go. There are over 5,000 investors in that group at this point. There are a number of REI Nation investors in there that are happy to give you their very real, unfiltered experiences with us. Most of them are going to be overwhelmingly positive, but they'll also tell you that when we make a mistake, they're positive comments because we know how to handle it. We know how to, rectify situations where we make mistakes. Anyway, I'm not going to get too deep into that. Go check it out. I'm going to be talking about these same, interest rates and that kind of stuff there in the Facebook group. Today, what I really liked about, Isabella's topic for today was she wanted me to pull out books that I could recommend about real estate investing. But this isn't, I told her, I said, I've been doing this for so long and I love books. I have a whole library at the house, big bookshelves built in on purpose into my office, have, hundreds, if not well over 1,000 books. I love reading. And I told her, I said, I'm going to bring books in that I guarantee you there's something on that list that every listener that listens to this podcast, everybody that reads our blog, they've never heard of. There's going to be at least one that everybody has not heard of. And most of these, many people probably haven't heard of. I'm going to tell you on the front end too, we're going to put some links. If you want to find where you can go buy these books, you can go to the links, but these are not my links. These are not Amazon. I get paid for links. There is zero affiliation here. I'm not making a dime off this. The authors don't even know I'm doing this in advance. I'm sure we will tag them on some level, so they'll find out later on afterwards. But every one of these, let me go. No, I take that back. Every single book, I've got 6 books here I'm going to share with you today. 5 of them I actually personally know the authors. I've met them. Some of them I'm close to. Others I just know them from having been around them. There's only one author that I've never met, but he's also the one that, he dwarfs me when it comes to experience. This guy's been doing this for a couple of decades longer than I have in real estate. So anyway, I'm excited to share this today. If you're ready to get started, I'm going to get started. I've got 6 books for you today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. I'm going to encourage you to read them. This is something that, I read books about everything, not just buying single family homes. There's books in here about wholesaling, books in here about, buying retail, how to be a better retail investor, a better retail buyer. There's wholesaling, there's multifamily. There's a couple books in here that just advice. They are a plethora across the board. I mean, every single genre or niche for real estate investing has something in there from an expert giving you kind of their 2 cents of what they've done through the years and how to be successful at it. So this is a great list of books. Hopefully I'm able to surprise you guys with some that you've never heard of. And with that, we'll get started. The first book I'm going to talk about today, it's called Building Wealth One House at a Time. It's written by John Schaub. I'm going to show it here to the camera for those of you that are listening, not watching. I'm holding it out there so that everybody that is watching can see it. Look, John Schaub, been in real estate, investing in real estate, going back into the 80s, a very successful investor. And what I mean by successful, I'm sure he's got plenty of horror stories where he can tell you where mistakes were made or money was lost, all that kind of good stuff, which means he's got something that most don't, and that is a long period of experience. He's done a lot in the real estate world. He's wholesaled houses, he's bought houses, he's built portfolios, he's sold houses. And his book, Building Wealth One House at a Time, it's a classic. It is a real estate classic, and it is thorough. The thing I really liked about this book is that, man, when you're reading it, his credibility, it comes out. You know that this guy knows what he's talking about. The book was written in 2004, published in 2004, the one I've got. I'm not sure if that's second edition, but I got the book published in 2004. I bought this, right in the middle of the downturn. I remember I bought this 2008, 2009. It really helped me find some confidence in what was going on out there in the market. It helped kind of shape and educate me a little bit, and I just found it a very enjoyable read. Today, John also has a newsletter. I think it's called Strategies and Success. I could be slightly off on the name there of the newsletter, but look him up. It's John W. Schaub. One more time, Building Wealth One House at a Time. I would definitely check that book out and put it on your list if you haven't already read it. Now, here's one that I think most of you probably have never heard of, because Ken is a national speaker. He speaks to a lot of real estate investor association groups. He was featured on, or he was seen on HGTV's that show Home Hunters for people that were looking for houses, I believe in Austin, Texas. Ken is one of the top agents at the time. I think it was either Remax or Keller Williams. I know that he was one of the top in the country. He's got a fantastic team down in Austin, Texas. I've met Ken personally. He came up here. He investigated into REI Nation back when we were called Memphis Invest, and just wanted to kind of learn more about our model. I think he does. I don't know if it's something similar, but I do know this much. He's got a great team in Austin. He is a fantastic. He just does a lot of business up there. He's got a lot going on, and he wrote a book called Home Buying Secrets. And this is all about. It's got loaded down with tips. And I'm not going to say tricks. That's not really what it is. But it's an amazing book with questions to ask, negotiating agreements, getting all your P's and Q's on the front end, getting everything crossed, I's dotted, T's crossed, all that kind of good stuff on the front end. The questions to ask for, like the kind of data you need to be able to receive from if you're going to hire an agent or not use an agent. Just all around, man. This is I found it a great book, and it's also laid out as like steps you can take, and it's got a lot of tips in here for financing houses, different ways you can finance houses, different reasons you buy houses, different reasons to use an agent, the way and why you use agents, but keys to unlocking home ownership, home buying secrets revealed. That's by Ken Renner out of Austin, Texas, but this is applicable anywhere and everywhere. Been around. This book has been around for about a decade. I enjoyed it. And look, one of the big things I learned from it, it broadened my language. It helped me understand a little bit more about the home buying, home owning process. I thought it was really good. This next one, you guys, I was actually on the podcast for these guys. This is a couple of, I would affectionately use the word knuckleheads, but I'm afraid people wouldn't understand what I meant by it. These guys are great. I really, really like Jake and Gino. I appreciated them having me on their podcast, even though I'm not a multifamily guy, and they are. It's called Wheelbarrow Profits. And these guys are really good. They have a fantastic podcast, a great following out there. They do bus tours, they do seminars, which don't let that turn you off. Don't believe all the BS you hear out there about people that do seminars and write books. They do this because they can't actually do what they're talking about. No. These guys, everybody I'm talking about here, this is the real deal. They talk about creating passive income, building wealth, same stuff that we talk about, and they take control of your destiny through multifamily real estate investing. Look, they taught me a lot about multifamily. Now, if you follow me and you know it's not my forte, I don't do multifamily investing. I still don't do it today. But one of the things I liked about theirs, which kind of goes on to all the rest of these books, is it's step by step laid out. It's not a thick book. It's thin. It's easy to read, easy to follow. But they also do something in their book that I really, really like. I'll get to that right at the very end. If you're looking to learn more about multifamily investing, if you just want to know more about it, be able to talk about it and understand it in your decision-making as a single-family investor, this is a great book to get. And Jake and Gino are great people to follow. I think they've got a YouTube channel. I know they're on social media. Man, they're just good people, okay? And I like them. The other thing I like about this book the most is that they give real life case studies at the end. I think there's 9 or 10 case studies in here where they're laying out numbers. They're laying out the obstacles that they had to overcome, how they overcame them. They talk about steps they took to get things, whether they're stabilized or get things, raised in value really quickly, refinance, whatever it ends up being. They're sharp. When it comes to multifamily investing, this is a great book to get. These are great people to follow. I suggest it. All right. I got 3 left. This one, the reason why I like this book, and I don't know how many volumes are up there. There might be up to 4 or 5 volumes of this now, but it's called The Best Real Estate Investing Advice Ever. Joe Fairless is the author along with Theo Hicks. I've known Joe almost a decade now. I've been out to speak at his best ever real estate investing conference twice out in Denver, Colorado. I think I was at their very first one they ever did, and then I was at another one a couple years later. Just great advice throughout this book, and here's why. Because Joe Fairless has, and I'm sure he'll tell me if I get this wrong. Hopefully I don't get this wrong. He's got the longest running daily real estate podcast, and it might be the longest running daily podcast on the air. The longest running daily podcast, the most continuously published daily podcast on real estate. And what he does, and I've been on here, I think 2 or 3 times. It's a quick 15-minute podcast. He gets somebody on. He's asking generally very specific, but the same type of questions each time. He's looking for a piece of real estate advice that his listeners can get to, understand, and take away within that quick little 15-minute podcast. He had me on a couple of times before the what do you call it? What did we just? Oh yeah, what was this thing that we all had? Everybody got running around the country. I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm literally, my mind cannot remember the name of coronavirus. This before the whole thing went to heck in a handbasket, and with this pandemic we've been facing, he had me on the show right in the middle of it to talk about our company and how we were dealing with it, what we were seeing with rents, what we were seeing with collections, and so if that gives you an idea of what he does, he brings on really good people for these little bite-sized pieces of advice. This book breaks it down. There are probably, I'm not sure the exact number of pieces of advice in here. I would say it's going to be 30 to 50, but I know that there's 30 chapters in here. From everything from creating brands to buying up houses to long-term approach, short-term approach, investor lending relationships. And it's just advice from people that are telling you, hey, if I had to give one piece of advice to a new investor or an experienced investor or somebody trying to move into a different segment of real estate, what would it be? That's what this book is a collection of. I think there's 4 or 5 volumes of this now. But great. If you haven't already read about it or heard about it, go check it out. The best real estate investing advice ever. 2 more. This one is from a friend of mine. This is a personal friend of mine. We know these guys directly. Than Merrill. He was seen on A&E. He's flipped this house out of Boston back in 2004, 2005, 2006, maybe 2007 area. I don't want to cut him short. Multiple great partners over there from the Estation Brothers, and other partner Conrad. I mean, we knew these guys personally, and one of the things that really earned my respect with them, I'm going to share the book that he's got here or one of the books he's got, is that they weren't just talking about it. And they weren't just doing a TV show, and their show wasn't fake. It was real. Sure, they would have to set up some funny scenarios to make the shows entertaining, but the reality is these were doers. They're not talkers. And they not only invested passively with our company because they believed in us, but at one point, I mean, we managed sizable portfolios for their families. When you're talking about your parents and uncles, aunts, sisters, whatever, brothers, family. That they had enough trust and faith in us and our performance to bring their family and not just their clients, because these guys own a company called Fortune Builders, but them. Great respect for these guys. Than wrote this book. It's called The Real Estate Wholesaling Bible. I got to get that out in one run. The Real Estate Wholesaling Bible. Now, It's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate investing. Look, there's not a lot of good, in my opinion, good books out there about wholesaling. A lot of it is this do-it-yourself DIY home program filled with a bunch of just nonsense, regurgitated crap. So I'm not about to sit here and tell you that this is something groundbreaking you've never read before. But the detail that they wrote this book with, and they, I mean the whole company, but Than, of course, is on the front of it. The detail they go into is astonishing to me. And it's not just about go in and figure out how you can buy cheap houses and drive prices down and, none of that. It is about how to be a professional. That's what I like the most about it. It's loaded down. I took some notes here. I want to make sure that I said it's detailed. It's got charts, graphs. They break stuff down state by state. So because every state is going to be a little bit different. They're not giving you tips and tricks on how to get around this rule or get around that law. It's all about how to be a professional, how to limit, if not eliminate, mistakes so that you don't end up losing money. You don't end up, getting yourself into a bad situation. It's just a very, very thorough book. I'm kind of thumbing through real quick. I don't remember, and I'm gonna say I don't think there's anything in there that says come, join our program, come to our next seminar. I mean, none of that's in here. They have, of course, they do live events all around the country where they want to meet their clients, but there's nothing in here that says, in order to be successful, you have to do that. This book is enough. The book is enough to help you get going and get started, and certainly figure out a way forward. It was also published by Wiley, an actual publisher. It always makes me proud that my book was published by a publisher. Same thing with these guys. There's nothing wrong with self-publishing at all. Some of these books may be self-published, but it just, there's the credibility there. I'm on to my last book. This is a good one. I like this one. And because this is another guy, this is I'm going to call him a friend of mine. He is an acquaintance because it's not like we see each other very often, but he's one of those people that today, this book isn't about it, but I'm going to tell you right now, his name is Al Williamson. Okay. And here's the book right here. It is 40 Ways to Increase the Net Income of Your Rental Property. I love the way Al thinks, but I'm going to tell you before I get in this book, I want to make sure I give Al proper credit. Al is one of the experts, and I would absolutely look to connect with him. I think he's got a book on Airbnbs. This guy was doing Airbnb before people knew what Airbnb was. Before everybody was out there on how to, he was doing it, and he knew how to do it. And he was talking I saw him a couple times in San Francisco about how to be successful at it, and he thought in a way that I think. His success, and I'm just talking this one right off the top of my head from all our conversations, was about the experience that person staying in your property has. That's what he knew, that to be successful in owning Airbnbs, it wasn't about, it was about cleanliness and the stuff you provided, which of course it is. But he understood intrinsically before anybody else did that it was about the experience that person renting your property had, both before, during, and after their stay. And so I always knew I don't have a great interest in Airbnb, although it might be something I get into as I go forward and as I look into some other, diversification if I choose to go that route. And he's the only person I would listen to. Now, not that he might tell me, hey, go talk to this person too, but I'm going to go to Al to find out who it is I need to talk to. So 40 ways to increase the net income of your rental property. What this book is great at, and he's got it tabbed here. I love it. He sent me a copy of it. And the reason why it's tabbed is it might be everywhere that he used an idea that I gave him. Such a good guy. I know that, or just things that he thought that I might find helpful. Yeah. So these are all the places where I had a tip. He wrote personal notes in here to the book to me to tell me that, hey, this is your tip, Chris. Hey, this is something that you helped me, crystallize. Just such a good guy. And not just because he used me in his book either. Okay. But, if you self-manage, if you're at that part of your real estate investing career where you want to, you're looking for what are those little bitty adjustments I can make to my rental portfolio or property to incrementally grow the income of the property. And that's what he was looking for. And it could be, look, some of my tips were ways to hold down theft and loss at your property. And he was like, that's massive because people don't look at it that way. That is a expense reduction. It may be a few dollars you spend here to prevent loss there. And that's just one of the tips that mine was in here. But that's what he's doing here. He's giving like this real practical advice from real investors who have experience and then sharing it with his audience of here's a diverse group of people that are giving advice that you need to follow. I love, I'm going to kind of follow up with this here as I'm done with these 6 books. I love reading. There's always something I feel like I can learn. And I don't always make it all the way through a book. Sometimes when I'm reading, I might find something in the first couple of chapters that just, bam, that's what I needed. And I'm off and running. Speed of implementation is big for me. So when I see something I like, I want to get going. So there's even times I don't finish an entire book. I may come back to it later or I may not, but it had an impact on me that got me moving. That's the way that I think some of these books may be for you. So that's my list of books. We'll hit them one more time. Building Wealth, One House at a Time by John Schaub. Home Buying Secrets Revealed by Ken Renner. Wheelbarrow Profits by Jake and Gino. Best Real Estate Investing Advice Ever, Volume 1 by Joe Fairless and Theo Hicks. I got Than Merrill's Real Estate Wholesaling Bible. And Al Williamson, 40 Ways to Increase the Net Income of Your Rental Property. Be on the lookout. I've got another book list coming. She's put another book podcast on here, but it's a different topic. We're talking about a different genre of books, not specific to real estate investing, and I can't wait to share my list of books you got to read. Until we get a chance to meet again, guys, I took up 21 minutes of your time on Friday. Hopefully, I've kind of vaulted you into a great weekend. Go check out the links. Go get one of these books if you want to. And until we get a chance to meet again, guys, commit to the grind. Take care.